England begin the third day's play in quite a dominant position as they finished off day 2. Steve Smith and Tim Payne at the crease on 55 and 3, respectively. That's a boundary that'll bring Australia's lead up to 50 runs. Steve Smith, very good this series. Scored a couple of hundreds already. Looks like he might be on his way towards another one. That is a cracking drive from Tim Payne. Back past the bowler, that's 4. And we're going to talk about, I guess, the partnerships of Australia and have they got anyone to be able to stick around with Steve Smith? At the moment, it's the job of Tim Payne to be doing that. Australia, this is their second innings, of course, if you haven't been following the match so far. So whatever total they post... Oh, that's another good shot from Tim Payne. Whatever total they post will be what England are chasing. So England will be hoping to get these next 5 wickets, get that lead of Australia's sort of below 200. They wouldn't want them, ideally, get below 100 here. They can take them really, really quickly, but they would want Australia to tick this scoreboard over. Maybe, 150 is a good chase, you'd think. But we've seen this Australian tail wag before, and they might continue to wag today. Outside edge from Steve Smith. He'll get away with that. But it's going to be a big challenge here for Australia. Lots of time left in the game. Lots of overs to bat out. Not many wickets remaining. Tim Payne's actually done quite well since coming to the crease. He's batted quite, I was going to say aggressively, but he hasn't really. He's just played some really good shots in the gaps. He's going at almost 100 strike rate. Stuart Broad bowling change into the attack, and Tim Payne just dispenses him to the offside. 200 recently brought up by the Australians as well. That'll go all the way to the fence for 4. Quality shot from Tim Payne again. As I've been saying, he's been striking it close to 100 and been in some really fine form today. So that's going to be the challenge for Australia. Steve Smith, of course, already has the 200s in this series. We'll be looking for 100 number 3. Tim Payne averaging about 13 in the series, so this might be his highest score we've seen. Coming in their very last innings. Australia, that's pulled down. And it's racing away, but it doesn't quite get to the fence. They'll come back for 3. Australia pushing this lead out towards 100 now. 99 run lead, and that is a bang. Absolute cracking shot from Tim Payne. 100 run lead up for Australia. And it's just been some real aggressive, positive strokes from Tim Payne today that's seen Australia get into this position. Steve Smith continuing to just go about his business in the same way he would normally. Come back for 3 here. Throw probably the wrong end. Another cracking shot through point on the offside there. But it's been sort of an up and down series for the Australian skipper Tim Payne. He's had, obviously they've won the series 3-1 at the moment, but he hasn't necessarily made too many runs himself. And with this too, he brings up the half century. His first for the series. 7 boundaries in that 50. And out there for the opening hour this morning and really playing quite well. Starting the day on 3, but spoke a little bit too soon. He's gone. Caught behind. So England end up getting that wicket of Tim Payne just after he brings up the half century. Not going to review that one. Clearly knows he's nicked it behind. Payne goes for 50. Australia 6 for 237. And it brings Pat Cummins to the crease. So hasn't had a great series either, Pat Cummins, but he's provided some handy knocks on occasions. Well, I guess he's had a great series with the ball. He's the leading pace bowling wicket taker for either side, I believe. Taken about 20 wickets in the series, Pat Cummins. Done a very good job there. Australia pushing this lead up to 130 now. But, Steve Smith and Tim Payne managed to mostly Tim Payne, push that lead out this morning. 250 up for Australia, lead 132. Jack Leach looking for that elusive breakthrough. But not going to be from him. That is a quality drive from Cummins. We'll come back for 2 into the 61st over. Australia 6 for 252. And this lead is just eking out more and more. If Australia put on an extra, 30, 40, 50 runs, they get it close to 200. They put on another 20 from there, another 20 from there. It's just all about little goals, little targets. At the moment, Australia seem to be finding some settling touch, or mostly Steve Smith, who's realised there's not too many batting partners left at the crease. He's hit that one for 4 again. He's into the 90s on 94 now. Stuart Broad back in. And wicket falls. So Pat Cummins hung about for a little while, but he's gone now. Just flashing at that drive. Looking to go through cover, getting the outside edge. Stuart Broad getting the wicket. Australia 7 for 175, but again, it was a good little 20-run partnership. And Mitchell Starc made a half century in the last test match, and I think he top scored in the first innings for Australia with about 23 or something. It wasn't a very big score, but it was still the top scorer of the team, so he's been in quite good batting form of late. Works this to the onside for a couple of runs. Maybe they'll turn and come back for 3. Smith running hard and gets there. Good defensive work here from Steve Smith. He's very much playing at the shots he wants to play it. I think there's an inside edge there from that shout. Oh, hello. That's pretty good. Pretty handy from Mitchell Starc. That'll be a couple more runs. Australia 7 down right now, but they're building partnerships. This from Steve Smith down the ground, just going to be 2. Moves to 98. Closing in on another 100. It's full. It's driven. It's in there. And it's going to go all the way to the rope for 4. That's a big ton from Steve Smith. Just the 8 boundaries in it. It's been a very meticulous innings, very careful, cautious innings, but he's just played sublime for his 102 as Mitchell Starc top edges that over everyone, almost for 6. Seen a few top edges from the Australians fly, and they've taken that on. The short ball. Oh, and now cutting that away, Mitch Starc. He's hung about again and been quite handy for Australia. Another 15 runs from him, and sticking around with Steve Smith has been absolutely critical here. And that will take us to the lunch break here on day 3. Australia 7 down, losing 2 wickets this morning. Tim Payne and Pat Cummins departing. But this partnership now of Smith and Starc worth 24 runs. And they just continue to press on. 300 not far away. The lead just 19 more runs away from being over 200. And Australia starting to get themselves a defendable total. Top edge from Smith goes for 4. And then after a misplaced shot, driving it quite a good again down the ground for a couple more. It's lead now above 190. Outside edge dropped. Not sure who that is in gully there. But, big missed opportunity. Folks bowling nicely to Starc. And he manages to eke that one away. Oh, they're coming back for 2. It's not really there, but they get it anyway. And that is a cracking shot for nothing. So, 1 over till the new ball for England. Australia getting this lead over 200 now. Coming back for 3. Geez, wrong end again with the throw. Steve Smith is halfway down the pitch. Should have really gone to the bowler's end. But Australia, they've been playing this really well. Steve Smith mostly just getting his singles when required, hitting boundaries when required. England have taken the new ball now to try and get these final 3 wickets. And if Australia can just keep putting on runs and hanging about at the crease, it's going to frustrate England. They might get a bit desperate. They don't want this total to squeeze out too much further. Oh, that is a quality shot from Steve Smith. That might be the best shot of the day. Scored straight to mid-off. Smashed it for 4. That's a terrible delivery. And Stuart Broad, that is 5. Wides it will be. So England's bowlers, they bowled quite full today, trying to encourage driving. And Australia have matched the task. Mitchell Stark driving that beautifully down the ground for 4. But they're a bit tired in the field now, England. Outside edge and gone. So Mitch Stark goes. His little cameo of 29. It was handy for Australia. But he's finished. Just trying to smash that one down the ground. I think Australia would be they'd be pretty happy with the position that they've got themselves into after starting pretty poorly today, or starting poorly yesterday at the start of their innings. They're now 342 on the board, still with a couple of wickets in hand. We'll see how much those 2 tailenders can put on. But a lead of 224, is it going to be enough? It's a tricky target. There's still plenty of time in the game for England to get it. The batting, I guess the pitch still looks pretty good. Hasn't seemed to develop too many footholds or footholes. Is that the correct term? Footholes or any sort of rough patches. So spin may not play as big a part as we think it should in these last couple of days. Edge and gone, line out. So he didn't hang about too long, just the 5 runs. Stuart Broad getting another. England just 1 wicket away from getting Australia out here. 349 on the board. This innings, a lead of 231 actually, is the lead. So Josh Hazlewood to the crease. Is 231 enough for Australia? Will they be hoping for something more? Hazlewood kind of just has to survive here, and you expect Steve Smith to hog majority of the strike. He is running out of batting partners. He's edged that one beautifully through the gap between third slip and gully, and it is going to trickle away to the boundary for 4. No man deep in that third man position. Now driving down the ground. Well, they've come back for 2, so Hazlewood will be on strike for the next over. Just see how they go. There might have been just a fraction of an inside edge on that. So it could have been out if the catch was taken. Steve Smith again, a bit of luck on his side. Top edging it for 4. Josh Hazlewood. Like, this is a very close game at the moment. Australia's lead pushing it to 250 with this boundary. Josh Hazlewood. He actually has played a couple of cameo innings of late. He's on 8 at the moment. If he can hang around with Steve Smith and get this lead to maybe 270, 280, Australia, they just want to keep going with this. Little partnerships, little scores. This is racing away again and again. Not quite going to reach the boundary rope. Just the 3 for Australia there. Gives Hazlewood 1 ball to face. Big shout. And umpire says not out. So no review taken by England, or they're going to deliberate about it here. They're not going to take it. So Australia survive with their 10th wicket. Steve Smith gets another boundary. So he's closing in on 150 runs now. They look to pick up just... Oh, they wanted the 2 to get the 150. He's on 149 now. And there it is. So there's the 150 for Steve Smith. What an innings it's been. Of 215 balls. He's faced his time. He's been at the crease almost 5.5 hours now. And he's just been the anchor. Australia have been able to, wouldn't say play around, because he's had to deal with everything. There's an outside edge. I just don't think it carried. Disappointment for Jofra Archer there. They almost had Steve Smith. Now the lead's 275. It's getting into really dangerous territory for England. Outside edge from Hazelwood this time. Races to the fence. It just flew off the bat. If there was a man there, might have been a chance. And another edge. This one a top edge from Steve Smith for 4. So more luck going the Australians' way. .288, the lead for Australia. Steve Smith 163. It's been a big innings, but that's it. It's come to a close. Little edge through to the keeper. Of all the ways for Steve Smith to be dismissed, driving down the wicket is how it happens. But England, they know their target. It's 288. It's what they got to chase down. Steve Smith 163, the top score for Australia there. 50 from Tim Payne as well. A couple of starts from the openers as well as Mitchell Starc. But just little scores here and there that have kept Australia in this. And that last wicket partnership worth 57 runs might have given Australia enough on the board. They feel like they've got enough to defend. 288. They knocked England over for 235 in the first innings. Is 288 going to be enough? Let's see how England bat. They've got about a full session here tonight to bat. Full 30 overs. If I can get maybe 100 off this total by stumps, I'll be pretty happy with that. Australia be hoping for a few wickets tonight. Put themselves in a strong position early. Mitchell Starc with the new ball. Start things off to Rory Burns. Got him for a duck in the first innings. Rory Burns. But that's not going to be the case today. He'll hit this to the offside. Through cover for 3. And he's off the mark. Nicely played. Away again. From Denley this time. Gets him off the mark off his opening ball. Another good shot. That's 4 from Joe Denley. Good start here from England. They'll be pretty happy with this. First 4 overs, no wickets lost. Their openers have started quite well in occasions. It's been sort of their middle order where they've lacked a bit of run scoring capabilities. If Butler hasn't fired, they've struggled. If Root hasn't fired, they've struggled. Root's made 3 half centuries for the series. Josh Butler, obviously the leading run scorer of the Ashes as a series. Starting back with that opening test match where he made 98 and 160. That'll take us to tea. So England, they had a good little period there, none for 25. From the 6 overs they faced before tea. It was a tricky little period. Now they've got a little session tonight. How will they go about it? Can Australia take any wickets? And will England put themselves in a strong position? Mitch Starc, done very well since coming into the Australian side. He's played 3 tests in this series. First test, and getting recalled for the 4th test before playing here in this one. Took 7 wickets in the second innings of that 4th test to really give Australia a match-winning position. Win the game for Australia, essentially. Can he conjure up some magic again today? He's creating a few bits of uncertainty for Denley. Where does he want to drive it on that offside? He's got the inside edge, but it's flown to the boundary for 4. So Denley survives again. Mitchell Starc will be eager to get rid of one of these openers. Pat Cummins into the attack now. Dropped off of late. Since Stark's come into the side, Cummins hasn't taken as many wickets. He's bowled a bit less as well. I think mostly due to the... it's a bit of a shout here. Not really too sure why. But Cummins has bowled a lot less in these last couple of test matches. Obviously, it's exhausting. Bowling, multiple matches in a row. He's bowled more overs than any other pace bowler in this series. Nathan Lyon, the only bowler to bowl more deliveries than Pat Cummins for the series. Coming up on about 900 deliveries, Pat Cummins. It's been quite a journey for him. And a couple of runs here for England. None for 49. Australia bringing Nathan Lyon into the attack. What can he do today? Oh, that's not bad either. I think he took 7 for in the third test. Nathan Lyon providing us with the best bowling innings of the series. That's the 50 up for England. This opening pair, Denley and Burns, really providing the goods. And it's a good start with such a, I guess, difficult chase of 280. It's certainly a gettable target. Seen England come close to chasing down 300 and something. So this should be a reasonably close chase. The way these openers are going, they're creating a lot of doubt in the Australians' mind, and you just wonder when Australia might just start to change the way they're bowling a little bit and maybe go for wickets, go searching for wickets. It's a bad delivery from Nathan Lyon. If they do go searching for wickets, is it going to cost them in the form of runs? And there's the first wicket. So Denley trying to play almost a, I don't know, heave-ho onto the onside. The shot really was just not there to be played. I don't think on any delivery ever the shot was there to be played. So Denley goes for 26. Clean bowl by Nathan Lyon. England lose their first. Skipper Joe Root to the crease. Still with 2:32 to get. Australia will breathe a sigh of relief. They've broken this opening pair and now they can maybe build a bit of momentum. We have seen Joe Root make some half centuries. Hasn't converted any of those into hundreds. Out in the 80s and 90s a couple of times there. But he's also had some poor starts. If you can get him early, that's the key. If you can, because he can struggle early on in his innings, as we've seen with a number of batsmen throughout this series. Always difficult to start out there, especially with the bowlers chock full of confidence, knowing that the ball's doing a bit, the pitch is doing a bit, and it makes it dangerous. Is there a little tickle on this? No, says the umpire. Oh, that's a good shot. Rory Burns playing pretty well today. Already into the 30s. We've been at the crease. 69 deliveries now. That's a good shot. Backward of point. A couple more. This England total after 20 overs. 1 for 74. Outside edge from Rory Burns. It flies over the top of the slips. And it's all the way to the boundary again. So we've probably got about 15 overs left today. Maybe a bit less than that. Australia will be hoping to get another couple of wickets before the day is done. England getting this lead underneath 200. Still with 9 wickets in hand. Gee, that's a close call for Rory Burns. Steve Smith going off in the slips. And he's found the gap again, Burns. See Cummins pretty exhausted there. Just a couple for Burns. Puts him to 49. And that'll be the half century for Rory Burns. Brings it up off 100 balls. It's been pretty well fought. England needed a good start here. And that's what he's been able to deliver. Edge from root to the boundary brings up the 100 for England. They're really starting to chip away at this total now. Maybe a bit of a chance there. Doesn't quite get taken. That's a good shot from Burns. First time we've seen him go over the top today. It was full. It was straight. And he went with it all the way to the boundary rope. Australia bringing on the leg spin of Labuschagne to the crease. Oh, jeez, he's creating some doubt there for Burns. And some doubt for Root. He's got the wicket. Just getting that ball to turn enough. Maybe beat him in flight as well. But he's clean bowled Root. Labuschagne gets the wicket. Labuschagne, I'm going to say it wrong. It's the running joke of the series, just always pronouncing it wrong. But Australia get their second wicket. England 2 for 117. Rory Burns still at the crease. Jason Roy, the other man, at the crease. This is the final over of the day, of course. So Burns will be looking to survive. It's almost as if the England openers are out there. They've been the openers most of this series. It's a good shot from Burns for 4. One ball left in the day's play. As he drove that or cut that away. And sees it out with a block. So England, they'll be pretty happy with where they're sitting here at the end of day 3. Just 2 down for 120. Rory Burns, 64 not out. Jason Roy yet to face a ball, but he's out there in the middle. 36 overs gone. Australia need 8 wickets to win on day 4. England need a further 168 to win on day 4. We'll see how it all plays out tomorrow. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you all later. Goodbye.